Yeah, and and so schools have to lift the taboo, and churches have to lift the taboo from talking about race. They don't want to discuss it, because they're afraid they're going to lose students or lose congregation or whatever, but they have to do that because you've got to prepare people for what's in society,
right?
And they're not doing it. I mean, you mentioned how one religion is against another religion or whatever else. You even got it within the same religion. Why are there white Baptist churches and black Baptist churches? Well, because the blacks could not get into the white Baptist church back in the day, right? So we had to make our own. So, but even today, there's still that kind of division, because you go to a black person, go to a white Baptist church, say, hey, I'm from the Baptist church down the street. Hey, well, welcome. They read the same Bible, they worship the same Jesus and God. So, today, you can come in there and have a seat and worship together. But there'll be some people, you say to them, hey, I'm a Baptist too. Do you accept me as your, would you accept me as your brother in Christ? Oh yeah, of course I would. And they hug you. And then you ask them, but would you accept me as your brother-in-law if your sister wants to marry me? It's a whole different story then, right?
Yeah, it's
well.
I think about it. It's for me, because I never really, especially when all this stuff started happening back in 2012 with Trayvon Martin and Ferguson, I never really understood it, and so I would be the word white privilege would trigger me, or all lives, I'd be like, all lives matter. I have a lot of problems. My problems don't matter. Well, what made me change my beliefs was when I got really close with Black people in college. I played soccer at Quinnipiac University, and with a lot of immigrants, Black people, and one of my best friends, Tanner, is Black. And after college, I saw real racism from police officers and from regular people, and saw what he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's when I started to understand, hearing his perspective, hearing his stories, seeing it happen. And that's, a lot of the inspiration behind this company. Hope comes from hearing other people's experiences, comes from empathy and friendship. And, like your story just exemplifies it perfectly. Like when you befriend these people, when they start to see, like, you can find common ground with people, we all have common ground in at least one thing, that we're all human beings.
Sure, absolutely.
And once you find that common ground, you can really connect with people, and they start learning about you, learning about who you are, and start realizing like all these other things I used to think. This new information just confronts those old beliefs.
Because you start out here as adversaries, and as you spend time together, you find more and more things in common, and that gap begins closing. And when you get about here, you're in a relationship with that person,
right?
And you keep on talking and meeting up and talking. That gap is closing even more, and now you're heading towards a friendship. And when you get here, you found more things in common than you have in contrast. And the trivial things that you have in contrast, such as skin color, or whether you go to a church, a synagogue, a mosque, or a temple, begin to matter less and less. And it's all through communication. I'll tell you something very simple. A missed opportunity for dialogue is a missed opportunity for conflict resolution.
The evidence, just to go on from the hotel, so the Grand Dragon from the hotel, you became friends with him and stayed in contact while writing the book. And then after that, he'd have you over for dinner. He'd even bring you to Klan rallies. And I think it was another.
He became an Imperial wizard, and now he's out. I have his Robin Hood.
Yeah, and so he ends up leaving the Klan because, a lot of it because of the friendship with you, and realize, over time realizing, he's just as much of a human being. He's a smart guy, and he's my friend. His beliefs didn't make any sense anymore, which I think is just so powerful. And now you've gone on, and how do you know how many exactly other Klan members?
I don't know how many exactly, but it's a little over 200. Directly and indirectly.
And it's amazing. First of all, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
It really is. Takes a ton of courage just from the first, just to walk into that whole hotel room takes a ton of courage. Like you said, you feared what you didn't know too. You feared him just as much as he feared you, and it takes a ton of courage to overcome that fear.
But, for me, really, it wasn't so much courage as it was curiosity. I was just fascinated by how somebody can think that way.
Right.
And then I learned, you know, through all these things, because I still do it. I had a white supremacist over my house the other day, who's in the alt-right and all that kind of crazy nonsense.
Yeah, the new name for
it. But they go through a cognitive dissonance thing, because, like, I'll give you an example. When I was interviewing some of these people, I would say, you know, how can you hate me? You don't even know me, you know? Or, well, I know how you people are. Well, what does that mean? Well, you know, you're prone to crime. You know. Well, what gives you that impression? Well, Mr. Davis, all you have to do is look at our prison system. You know, there are more blacks in prison than there are white people. Okay, that's a half truth. The part that's true is, yes, there are more blacks in prison than white people. But the other half is, he is not considering the unequal justice system, mm-hmm. or the fact that there are whites and blacks who are poor in prison, who cannot afford top legal representation. Mm-hmm. And so they got some lawyer who just makes them take a plea to something that they, you know, they didn't even do, and there they are, you know? So he's not considering that, because what he sees fits his narrative in his mind. Mm-hmm. And one's perspective is one's reality. So I think black people are criminal. Well, there's my proof. Okay. I'm also told that black people are inherently lazy. We don't want to work. We prefer to take advantage of the government welfare handouts and all these programs. And then I was told that black people are born. It's not our fault that we were born with smaller brains than white people. You know, so the smaller the brain, the less space for IQ. You know, the larger the brain, the more space for intelligence. So, you know, when somebody is saying that to you, to your face, and they're less than 3 feet from you across a little motel table, what the person is saying is indeed offensive. And usually when they say stuff like that, there's pushback from the other side. No, you're the one who's a criminal. You're the one who's burning crosses in people's yards and hanging people and dragging them behind pickup trucks and blah, 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 and bombing their churches. You know, people go off because, you know, they're being attacked and they're offended by what they're hearing. So, and of course, each side pushes back and then nothing is accomplished because both walls are up and the attack guns are out. Well, with me, is what I'm hearing offensive? Yes. No question, it is offensive. But am I offended by it? No. And that's what people don't understand. How can you not be offended? My answer is, why should I be offended? What the person is saying is not true. Are you offended by a lie? No. You know who you are. I damn sure know who I am. You know, and if you don't know who you are, you got no business going to meet with somebody like that, because they will tell you who you are.
That's a great point. That is a really great point.
Right. So I'm not offended by a lie. Now, if my mom or my dad told me that my brain was small and I'm a criminal and whatever else, well, you know, maybe I might take some value in that, because they brought me into this world. They raised me. You know, they know a little bit more about me than somebody who just met me 5-10 minutes ago, and all this person sees is my skin color and can assess what I am. Yeah. So I'm not gonna be offended by that.
Your mom, your dad, your pastor, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody with some authority and knowledge of me, who's known me for a while, right? So by my not reacting, you know, and pushing back like they're used to, I've thrown them off their game. And their wall, because, you know, when they first see me, black guy, boom, that wall comes up. You know, they're ready for anything, right? But now I'm letting them talk. Everybody wants to be heard. You know, you, me, anybody, we all want to be heard, all right? So I'm giving them the opportunity to be heard. And the guy is sitting there insulting me, and I'm just sitting back listening to him. So that wall is coming down. He's trying to figure me out, you know, because most black people will push back on you. Maybe you reach across the table and smack the shit out of you, right? So I'm sitting back, I'm giving him his platform so he can have his say, and I'm not resisting him, right? So, and then, most important also, so the wall has come down. Now he feels the need to reciprocate. I gave him the opportunity to say whatever it was he wanted to say. So now he's gonna let me make my point. If I attack him, that wall is gonna go back up. So rather than attack him and say, you know what, you are wrong, da 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 da, that's going to elevate the wall. Instead of going on the offense, I will go on the defense. I'll say, well, Mr. Kelly, you know, the fact of the matter is, I don't have a criminal record. I have never been on welfare. Now, I don't know the size of my brain. I've never measured it, but I'm sure it's the same size as anybody else's. Mm-hmm. So I'm defending myself rather than attack him. Mm-hmm. That keeps the wall down. So now I've planted a seed. And he has to go home and evaluate, just like, you know, you do. At the end of the day, you might evaluate our conversation. Absolutely. Right? So he thinks at the end of the day, man, you know, I just sat down and had a 3-hour conversation with a black guy. And, you know, some of what he said made some sense. Or what he said, that was true. But he's black. But it was true. But he's black. So it's a cognitive dissonance thing going on. He knows it made sense. He knows it's true, but he doesn't want to believe it because it came from a black guy. All right? So he has a dilemma. If you know something is true, but you don't like the source, do you disregard the source and then turn your life around by believing the truth and change direction? Or do you continue living a lie just because the truth came from someone who you don't like? Mm-hmm. That's his dilemma. And he has to struggle with that until he comes to terms like, okay, well, I can't keep on living a lie. I got to turn my life around here.
Yeah. And it's you know, these beliefs we have that come from, you know, our parents or, you know, where we grow up or schools and you know, in this day and age, the internet, you know, unfortunately, there's so much false information that people are reading and getting immersed in. And our brains need to be right. They pick up circumstantial evidence for whatever our beliefs are. And you know, so broad in life, it could be, you know, the mental health related about yourself, your beliefs about yourself, but, you know, in this term, the beliefs about others, other people around us. And so he probably, you know, subconsciously wanted you to attack him back just to reconfirm that black people are angry, and he's right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I think that you're just so smart in how you handle situations like that because you're not giving him the satisfaction of being right. You proved him wrong by not confirming his beliefs. And I think if you know, more people could do that and across the board, religion, race, so many things, people would be a lot less angry. We'd see a lot less fear, a lot less hatred, a lot less destruction. And it would just be a better world that we lived in. But you know, that's why the empathy part of it and having the courage to confront your beliefs and do new things, step outside of your little comfort zone and talk to new people, people you've never talked to before, and learn new things.
Well, you know, you're spot on that, man. 100% I agree with you. And you know, I give 60 to 80 lectures a year. Maybe not this year because of the lockdown, but you know, a lot of them are at colleges and universities and things like that. And I'll tell you something. 2 to 3 out of every 10 times I give a lecture at one of these universities or colleges across the country, this will take place. You know, I'll do the lecture, I'll do a Q&A, and then at the end of the lecture, students still want to come up and ask me, you know, one last question or whatever. Or I also bring some Klan robes with me and they want to touch one of the robes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 or 3 times out of 10, when this happens, there'll be one student standing off on the side, way over there. And I can tell what's happening. He or she is waiting for the crowd to go away from the podium where I'm packing up stuff. And when the crowd dissipates, they'll come over. Oh, hi, Mr. Davis. You know, I really enjoyed your lecture, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll like look around, make sure nobody's within earshot. And then they'll say, you know, my mother's in the Klan, or my dad's a neo-Nazi, and things like that. And I was raised that way. And now I'm here at, you know, University of Georgia or wherever. And I'm dating this guy from Pakistan, mm-hmm. or my girlfriend's black, or my boyfriend's Jewish, you know, and I can't take this person home with me. My parents will kill me, you know, they'll disown me. And I don't want to tell my friend because they'll drop me, you know? So they have this secret that is burning an ulcer in their chest and they have to get it out. And I'm the perfect person for them to release to, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we sit around, talk for a little bit. But here's the problem. they come from a neighborhood, very homogenous. Everybody there, thinks alike. They go to the same high school. They read the same books, have the same teachers. They swim in the same community swimming pool, shop at the same grocery store, probably vote for the same politicians, etc. Right? And it's like a one big echo chamber. And then they come to university, college, wherever it is, and the neighborhood doesn't come with them, because that college consists of people from all over the country, and even some from all over the world. And so now they're getting exposure that they didn't have in the neighborhood. And they're learning that Jewish people don't have horns and Black people don't have tails, So they realize their friends and their parents, even their parents, are wrong. But how do you go home and tell mom and dad, you were wrong about Jewish people, or about gay people, or about Black people, or whatever? Your parents wanted you to get an education, but they didn't want you to get that education.
Right. And
so,
reinforcing them I never blame, I try not to blame anyone, but especially parents of the older generation, because it's been just reinforcing them for so long. And with, there's, a whole new, as I said, our generation is a whole new world with the internet and with globalization, meeting a lot of new people. And so it's confusing for a lot of people, and they don't have that outlet of talking to their parents, because like you said, they're afraid. And that's why it's so important to speak with, one of our slogans is "Let's talk." Like, it's so important to speak with anyone, a friend, someone like you, a mentor, a therapist, or just have the courage to speak with your parents about it. And no, I could talk to you for I could talk to you for hours. I'm gonna have you back on later this month for part 2, because I have a bunch more questions. But
love to do it.
Absolutely. Just really insightful, and so much of what this company is about, speaking about beliefs and empathizing with people on a variety of different issues. Just one personal story, and I have one more question for you, then I'll let you go. But growing up again in around great people, but just they have these beliefs, and whether it's cable news or whatever, you see these things. And so the immigrant's a great example of it. Had never met an immigrant in my life, I don't think. And so you have, I was always a nice person, so I wasn't like I hate immigrants. It was just like, I didn't understand them. And so probably feared them a little bit. But when I went to college, my soccer team was about 70% international kids. So I met all these guys, and I was just like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. These are the nicest people in the world. And to this day, they're some of my best friends. And I don't know what I would do without them. And so that's why I'm so passionate about people learn to confront their beliefs and try new things, learn new things, meet new people, because I don't know where my life would be without these people, without these experiences. It would have never happened if I didn't have the ability to question my beliefs and then change them. So I think it's just so important, and what you do is amazing. So I really can't commend you and thank you enough for questioning beliefs.
And you are also blessed, that you have the parents that you have.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That makes all the difference in the world sometimes.
Absolutely. My parents have their beliefs, but they are so amazing at letting us be ourselves and do what we want and believe what we want. And
look up this quote sometime. Mark Twain, of course, the author. It's called The Travel Quote by Mark Twain. And I'll recite it for you. Mark Twain said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime."
Wow.
And that is so true. And, I have been to 57 different countries on 6 continents when you combine my travels with my parents as a little kid, with my dad's job, and my travels today as a professional musician who performs around the world. And I've been exposed to a multitude of religions, ethnicities, cultures, etc. And that all of that has helped shape my perspectives. And no matter how far I've gone from the United States to the other side of the earth, down to Australia and in the other hemisphere and wherever else I've been, I've seen all kinds of different people and different practices. But at the end of the day, I have concluded that every single person I've ever met is a human being. And we all want the same things. We want to be loved. We want to be heard. we want to be respected, and we want the best for our families. And that is universal, no matter how far away from home you go, whether you go right next door or you go, to Mongolia. That's what people want, and they may look different, they may sound different, they may act different, but at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. And if we learn how to get along, we can help each other get those things a lot quicker than fighting them so that they don't get them. That's why you're busy fighting them so they don't get them. You're not getting them yourself.
Right. And so many of these things, if you look at it, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and there's so much evidence today, like, how difficult the world is, and how much we need each other, how much social interaction, we need, and how much it improves our lives, both our mental health and, getting what we want in life to be successful.
And see, you had the good common sense where, maybe you didn't go to all these countries of the friends, that you've made in college who came from international places, but you don't have to go there necessarily. They came to you, and you took advantage of meeting them, interacting with them, and building relationships with them. So, we don't have to travel somewhere. We have access to a great melting pot right here. I mean, it's great if we can travel, but if you can't, there are people right here in our own country, whether they're other white people, from Yugoslavia or Czechoslovakia or Russia or Sweden or Switzerland, to Black people from Africa, to South American people from Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Brazil, whatever. They're around us. Let's take advantage of that and learn something from them and teach them something as well. It's like this. Acupuncture, for example. A lot of people are using acupuncture these days. It wasn't up until maybe 20 years ago, maybe a little bit less, that insurance companies began to pay for that. But up until then, they were like, I'm not paying any insurance for you to go get needles stuck in yourself. That's a bunch of old wives' tales, BS. Well, if it was BS, the Chinese people would not have been doing it for 2,000 years.
Right.
So there's something to it. And now people realize maybe there is something to Eastern medicine. So now we're going to insure it. See, we're always behind the 8 ball. We may be technologically more advanced than a lot of other countries, but ideologically we're not. And that's where we need to respect and learn things from different people. In some countries, they got medicines and things over there that we don't have over here, and that work. And there's a big controversy here about pharmaceutical companies where they don't want you to be cured; they just want you to control your disease. Because that's how they make their money. You got to keep buying their drugs, right? And there, you can go to Mexico and buy certain things over there, and even Canada, over the counter that over here you need a prescription for.
And it's like a quarter of the price.
Exactly. So it helps us to learn these things from other people, from other countries, and interact with them. It's not going to kill you,
And it's it's just idea like I love America. I love so much about it, but it's just it's this humans just are drawn to groups and unfortunately believe everything that the group believes sometimes. And America has so many positives, but of course there's negatives to it. That's things we can learn from other places and make it better. But we have to admit that there's a problem and courage to again question it.
It's like alcoholics. They can't be helped until they admit they have a problem. Absolutely. And then once they admit it, AA will take care of them, or whatever other intervention program will take care of them and get them straight. And just real quick touch on things today. I truly believe that, we have turned pages in our history over the years, but I truly believe that we are really turning a page right now. And I think this page is probably the best one that has happened in the 21st century thus far. These protests, and the difference between them is this, which is something that I've always pointed out. Let me just back up a minute. President Obama, okay? Black people did not put Obama in the White House. White people put Obama in the White House because Black people only make up 12%. of the population. All Black people cannot vote. Some are not registered to vote, some are too young to vote. But let's just say hypothetically that every Black person, even little babies, could vote. That still would not have been enough to put that man in the White House. We still needed the white vote to help. All right, and that's what we got. 20 years ago, Obama could not have won because attitudes were not there with enough white people to vote that much for a Black guy. Not that he would have been any less qualified, it was the attitude, all right? And over the years, there have been plenty of Black people who were qualified to run for president and run this country. But again, the attitude was not there to give them that opportunity. By 2008, enough people had thought, you know, he does have some good policies. I think I'll give him my vote, you know, regardless of his color or whatever else. All right. So it was that collective of white people and Black people that got that guy in the White House. White people have always been involved in our civil rights, dating back to 1955 with Rosa Parks and Dr. King through the 60s. Mm-hmm. But never before have we seen this many white people involved in our marches for equal rights against the police and this, that, and the other, all right? In the past, the powers that be were like this. They didn't want to hear what we had to say. They shut us down. You know, we accused the police of murdering us and shooting us and so forth and so on. They didn't want to hear it. Take them to court, court throws it out. Mm-hmm. Nothing changes, all right? Now, the powers that be are seeing so many people that look like them that are marching with us. So now they're pulling the cotton out of their ears and are listening. And things are happening a lot faster. Police officers are getting fired a lot quicker. They're getting charged a lot quicker and arrested. That's never happened before that fast. Usually, if they get fired or if they get charged, it takes months. Yep. But now it's happening like that, right? And also, you mentioned the word ripple effect earlier. We're seeing a ripple effect that we've never seen before, where these protests were primarily targeted at police. But the ripple effect is statues are coming down. The Confederate flag is being banned from ground zero. NASCAR, the Mississippi flag is changing. Food labels, Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben are changing. You know, all of these things are ripple effects that are fantastic. Now, of course, taking down statues and flags don't change anybody's attitude, but they do need to go. Yeah. Education is what changes their attitude. Expose them to the truth, educate them, and then they can come to that conclusion. Personally, I don't believe that the flags and statues should be destroyed. You know, they're part of our history, but they should be put in a museum or build a Confederate memorial park, stick them over there. People can go see them and put flowers down beside them, etc. Listen, my ancestors fought in the Confederacy, all right? Because slaves had to fight for their slave masters. Mm-hmm. My parents are from Virginia, Roanoke and Salem, Virginia. I'm from Chicago because that's where my dad was working at the time, but they're from Virginia. Virginia was the seat of the Confederacy, all right? So my ancestors fought in the Confederacy. Now, I honor my ancestors because without them, I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. But I don't honor the Confederacy, and I certainly don't honor slavery. So I can, you know, if somebody else wants to honor their ancestors and have their statues over there, fine. But they should not be on public, federal, or government property for several reasons. Number one, we went to war. Well, the majority of white Americans in this country are of British descent because that's where they came from when they want to escape the tyranny of the king. They left Great Britain and came here to this new world, right? To escape the king. And so the majority of whites in this country are of British descent. We went to war against Great Britain and we beat them, which is why we celebrated this past weekend, Independence Day, right? 4th of July, Revolutionary War, 1776, right? Okay, that was the war against Great Britain. We beat them. Now, these British Americans well, we just call them Americans, but they're of British descent.
Mm-hmm.
They had ancestors that fought in that war, if you go back far enough. Do these people here, do they build statues of King George III or fly the Union Jack? No, they don't, all right? We have plenty of Japanese Americans in this country. Do they build statues to Hirohito, who bombed Pearl Harbor? No. And fly the Japanese flag? No, because they're American and Japan lost. We have plenty of German Americans in this country. We went to war against Germany. Many of these German Americans, their ancestors were under the Third Reich. Mm-hmm. They had no choice because that was being led by a dictator. You either did what he wanted or you were exterminated unless you escaped, right? So we beat Germany. So do these German Americans build statues to Adolf Hitler because their ancestors fought for him? No, they don't fly swastikas either. The fact of the matter is, the loser does not get to build their statues or fly their flags.
Right.
Bottom line, the Confederacy lost the war. They're the losers. They need to get over it. Take their statues and go home. Pull their flags down, go home.
I think if anyone of the opinions I've heard, yours is the most valid just because of your background and your clear knowledge on the subject. And it's so true. I mean, can you imagine the same people who are so against removing these statues? Can you imagine if there was a King George statue in the middle of Columbus Circle, the outrage there would be over that from the same people?
Right.
We don't what the Confederacy stood for. They'll argue that there's plenty of other underlying reasons, but at the end of the day, it was about slavery. And
yeah, and what the underlying reason is, when you ask them, say it was about slavery. No, it wasn't all about slavery. Well, what else was it about? Well, it was about states' rights. Yeah, the states' right to own slaves.
It's bizarre to me. And you're erasing history. I'm like, I've never learned a single thing from a statue.
Right.
I totally agree. Keep them in museums. If you're that invested in it, create your own little park and put them in there. But the idea of having them on public land as monuments or as
Okay, I know. I know a lot of people have those Confederate flags. They say, no, Daryl, it's not about hate. It's about heritage. Yeah, the heritage of slavery. No, Southern heritage. Well, the South has a lot to be proud of. They do. They have many things to be proud of, but slavery is not one of them. And that was the battle flag, the battle to keep slavery. And if you think it's all, I said, what do you think about the Ku Klux Klan? Oh, I hate those people. I can't stand those people. Okay, well, if you Google right now, Klan rally, and click on images, you'll see a bunch of guys in robes and hoods carrying Confederate flags. Mm-hmm. All right. So I tell these people, I said, look, if you truly believe it's not about hate, then I want you to go to a Klan rally with me. And when you see your Confederate flag being held by one of those Klansmen shouting, we're going to ship the niggers back to Africa and all that other kind of stuff, I want you to tell those people to give you back your flag, because that's not what it stands for. If you do that, I will come over your house and I will take your Confederate flag and I will hoist it up your flagpole for you. And I mean it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, you go about it the right way. You go about it with logic and connecting with people instead of getting angry and shouting and yelling. And I think that's why you've been so successful in your journey of connecting with people and having them change beliefs to things that serve the country better, having less racists out there, but serve those people better too. Hatred eats from within, and it's does not help the person who hates. It hurts them just as much as anyone else. So you're really doing a great thing. I could talk to you all day, and I definitely will love to have you back later this summer, but be respectful of your time. I'll let you go, but cannot thank you enough. Really was awesome conversation. So knowledgeable on the subject and have so much concrete evidence of everything we talk about here and we believe in beliefs and connecting with people and forgiveness and having the courage to question your beliefs and try and help people to make the world a little bit better. And you're a great musician. You could have just been a musician and lived that life, and you had the fortitude to go outside yourself, do something to serve others, other people around you, yourself, and can't thank you enough for that. So looking forward to chatting with you again, and again, really just can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. So please stay in touch.
Absolutely, Daryl. I will. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.